Our guests are joining us
Hello.
from the land of kangaroos and koalas, Melbourne, Australia. This is the Kubli Brothers, Richard and Michael, the independent filmmakers. They're making waves. Their love for film goes back to the days of VHS cassette tapes.
Nice.
Their first short film, Bloodhunt, a psychological horror thriller, was crafted in the midst of COVID-19. Talk about commitment. And they're not stopping there. They've got another project in the pipeline set to release later this year. So let's give them a warm welcome to the Kubli Brothers. How you both
Thank you,
doing?
guys.
Yeah,
Really
great.
good,
Thank you so
thanks.
much for having us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Happy to have you. All right. So the first question I've got to ask both of you, something we ask all of our guests. What's something our audience can't look up on Google right now about you? Take it one at a time.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Well, for me, I wasn't sure, so I just typed the name in and my LinkedIn.
What's up with Google?
My
That's funny.
LinkedIn came
So what's something we can't look up on? So your LinkedIn we can't find on Google. So what is it?
yeah, after my name, it just popped up with my profile and yeah.
So you can't find his background, basically. You can't.
So Richard, something we
Okay.
can't find on Google about you.
Oh, yeah, pretty much. I did what Mike just did before, so
Just check this out.
That's
I
smart.
wasn't too sure.
So
Yeah.
something we
Process of
cannot.
elimination.
I think
Something we
it's a
cannot.
brother thing.
It's a private thing.
The brother thing.
That's funny.
They're brothers. All right. So, as someone who's been fascinated by the creative process, I was intrigued to learn. Your short film Bloodhunt took over 4 years to complete. Right. A significant part of that
Yes.
was during the pandemic. So I can imagine a whole year, a whole new layer of
Yeah.
challenges with the pandemic. So could you share some of the hurdles you had to jump during the process and how you managed to keep pushing forward with this movie?
Well, firstly, like my we were building. It just started from a concept, and then it just pretty much grew from there. And we were me, and my missus, and Mike as well. We were all collaborating, and basically that became out of it, and we just stuck with it basically. And then I was out in the bushes and basically just started building a hut with my hands,
Oh,
and
nice.
then
Nice.
yeah, like an actual hut that took a while. So it was a lot of pre-production that was involved, even just to get to the filming part. So there was that challenge as well, and then being out there in all different types of weathers when I was building the thing. So it was hot, it was
Yes.
winter, it
Wow.
was difficult. And I was trying to do it without using machinery or cutting with saws and stuff like that. I was just trying to be
Right.
just from fallen logs basically, and just assembling something that looks like someone would live in it, and they would tell a story
Exactly.
basically.
So what are your two roles in the movie? When you're creating a movie, what role do you play versus Michael?
Right. Good question. Like, how do you guys collaborate your skills?
We kind of just bounce off
But
each other depending on the
yeah,
yeah.
So
if
Nice.
I'm feeling unsure of something, I would just talk to Mike on my side and be like, "What do you think about this?" And he'll give me his input, and then just like we bounce off each other, kind of like a bit of a Cohen's brother thing going on, I think.
I like that.
But it was a
So
scary
what?
time. They started to restrict our how far we can leave from our home. So
Yeah.
the place was we had a range of 5 kilometers and we just made it on the film
Yeah, it was
location
curfew.
within yeah yes
Oh,
yeah
wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was tough.
So my question
So,
actually was kind of what started and what sparked your inspiration for filmmaking, and specifically this genre, like horror.
Hard. Yeah, that's a good
Sorry.
question.
Mhm.
Because horror is,
Um,
horror is one of those genres that you kind of like really have to love.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, basically, we had some toxic people in our lives
Mm,
and some bad circumstances that unfortunately happened. So basically, we used those experiences and incorporated that into the short, and that was kind of like therapy for us in a strange way.
that's
um,
interesting.
yeah. So
So you're
it was
using
kind of
filmmaking.
like
Nice.
I find a lot of artists use their art to deal with
correct.
personal, traumas.
Art
Yes,
art is a form
it
of
was
yeah,
like an
catharsis.
outlet. I don't know. I can't describe it to you, but it like after when you finish, you feel good, and you kind of what you're putting the actors through as well. Because we were a lot of the other thing was the weather. We had to film on overcast
Mm,
days, so filming on overcast days comes with rain, and it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. So we're out there sometimes in the rain, and you know the actor would still push through it. Um, so I really thank him for
Yeah.
doing that, and
Mm.
he
yeah,
was a survivor.
we,
Yeah.
How many days of shooting were required to complete Blood Hunt? Because I understand with the pre-production that the structure itself, if you just built that by hand by dragging logs, that took weeks. It's an
Yeah,
impressive structure.
it is.
So
Yeah,
I'm very curious how many days of shooting it took to complete your short.
oh,
actual shooting,
I,
not sure. It was kind of random. It was spread out over the 3-4 years.
yeah,
Um,
Yes. So it was in like
yeah, good question.
increments of shooting.
Yeah,
Because of the
yeah, and we
timeline
were
and continuity issues, that's why I'm very
oh
curious about
yes,
how much
yes,
time with the actual shooting, because it was a long process, and I know the continuity is a big thing when you're
it is
filmmaking.
huge.
absolutely,
We
yeah,
have to take photos, then match the photos each time we shoot, just to make sure everything looks reasonably accurate. And
yeah.
yeah, the hair or the beard, the stubble. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good point. Mm.
that
Yeah.
is a good
Actually, I hadn't
point.
thought about the continuity thing.
so
Yeah,
important.
continuity is important. Yeah, people pick on those things sometimes, so we try to think out of the box. Like, oh yeah, because it's very you sometimes you get lost into the story and the visuals, and sometimes you'll see something. So, oh, did I move that? And then that's why it's good to we're both there. We're both. It's great to have another eye overlooking
Exactly.
everything in the process. Because it
Especially
can be a
filming.
very challenging environment. There's a lot going on, weather, wind, sound. How's the sound? Because that's another thing. We had a problem with sound. Sometimes there was a there's an airport near where we filmed, so we had to kind of like wait till the plane went, or we'll hear a bike. So we had to stop sound and wait till we heard the bike disappear. So it's
A lot of challenges.
um
Yeah.
yeah, and there was another thing we found. Oh well, the people there. It got discovered, the hut where we were filming, and
Yeah.
I didn't think it would ever be found, but it did get found, and I think they were gonna call the police and everything, but
Oh
it's
no!
alright. Word got passed
So,
over
so it was an
that it
illegal
was
hut.
actually us. Yeah, and they looked at it and they thought that like, "Who's living here? Is there squatters? What's going on?" And
That is
I
so
I
funny.
just laughed. Like, yeah,
Technically, it was on private property,
Oh,
so
I
we got
see.
like a lot of farm where yeah, they don't even enter certain sections.
yeah,
It's hilarious.
Because if you go to reserves and stuff, people sabotage, and yeah, it
yeah.
gets
Mm.
very difficult.
So
So
doing it on
One thing
private land. Oh, go on.
I was
yeah.
gonna ask, in independent filmmaking, often it does require you to be like resourceful and because the budget is different. So you have to be super creative, super resourceful. I wanted to know what are some of the sort of innovative or kind of techniques that you guys use to bring this vision to life, to bring Bloodhunt,
Great question.
Yeah, we've had
besides
some
the hut
experience.
that he created?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Michael.
yeah, we've had some experience over the years with different projects. So we're kind of used to like guerrilla filmmaking, and yeah, it becomes second nature. You know your resources, you know your lengths, and you use what you have around you, and that goes with everything: money, food, and you kind of get used to it.
Nice.
And then over time, it's a little bit more complicated as time goes on. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, I think it's like I think
Right.
it was like David Finch that said, try to use the tools that you have as well. So I always took that into account, trying not to
Yes.
obviously because this is a low budget, so trying to be resourceful. It's hard, but it makes you smart on how to approach a scene in
Yes.
but trying to make it look like a bigger production than in real life it isn't.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
trying to like mask it, you make sense, maybe put some extras in the back there, whatever,
mhm.
So
It makes
try to
sense.
make it grand, and there are ways of doing it. So it's just the right, So that's why I liked. I don't know if it's the first time, but I pretty much filmed it and I was directing it as well with Mike. So it was a nice thing because I could be. It's not normal. You have a director and then you have a DOP. So, but kind of like multitasking in a way. So I felt like I was in control. So that was good. So,
I
Good.
watched it. I really
um,
like the way that it was filmed because there's a lot of good close-ups in the action scenes and things like that. But I want to delve in really quickly to you talking about the trauma. And I was looking online and it says there was a saying that people who are hurting hurt other people.
Mm.
And you said we wanted this story to reflect that idea and perhaps shed a light on the failings of our society to protect the vulnerable. Can you share more about that?
Very interesting.
that was actually a paragraph for my missus. Actually, they put it. She had a lot of input in this
Oh wow.
because obviously
Cool.
we had a lot of we've gone through a bit we've went through a bit of depression. We've had a lot of hardship in the past. So, and we've seen it that people are kind of hurt and not can't not being able to find help and to talk to someone, and it's okay not to feel okay. So I'm hoping that this film will be a representation of that like
Yes.
metaphorically that this it's a thing, it's a fact, and it shouldn't be happening, but you know it- sadly it is. So
So
you
this
know
goes
The
beyond a
reality.
typical horror movie.
yeah, it
Yeah.
goes a bit more than horror. I would say a bit like you could say it's psychological as well.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. Yeah.
I was always kind of leaning psychological, but this is the thing. We kind of just we knew it was horror, but we we ap- we just approached it. This is what we've been doing. Just a lot of spontaneous filmmaking where I will have the storyboards, will be on set and everything, but then I might
Yeah.
feel something different. So
Hmm.
there'll be a feeling and energy, and I'll just channel that and basically like um if I'm feeling something, then my hairs will stick up, or so I
Yeah.
might be maybe a bit of a nuisance because we had to do a couple of takes to get there um to get the actor into it basically. So
Oh
but
yeah.
eventually he was into it, and then he would say to me his performance was great, but then he's like, oh, like, wait, I didn't feel like I was acting. And I'm like, well, there you go, see, because you won't
That's the
act,
best.
so because he just forgot about everything, and he was thinking, and he himself has gone through a lot of things in the past. So I noticed he was channeling a lot of that of his past
Oh
experiences
wow.
and putting it into the film. So I was just like, it it sometimes I would be talking to him, just making sure he's okay, because sometimes I would you know, like, is where are we going? Is this method acting? Like, you're all right, you know?
So he got caught up in the. Okay, wow.
Yeah, he got
It's
caught
so,
up in it. So
yeah,
What were you gonna say,
Oh
Michael?
wow.
a little bit,
it's
yeah.
so fascinating. Every actor works differently. The different method. You communicate with them, work with them. You work out their strengths, and you go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were times at her, and it felt very real. It's like a real moment, and anything can happen. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's
Feeling
a
like
really good.
vulnerable. I think that was another thing of being vulnerable and not finding help, you know, not being diagnosed. Because I know another thing, I know
Mm,
I've got, me myself, I know I've got ADHD as well, and
Wow.
I have been
It's
looking into getting assessed and everything. So um, I think that played another role, me being a little bit ADHD, and I think maybe being a little bit on the spectrum as well. Um, you know,
I,
oh
s-
yeah.
I say
Yeah.
I find that people with ADHD, it's like I think they have such a means to be successful in general, just because one, they can hyper focus and they're always looking to the
oh,
next thing. They're always keeping to the next. It's like
Right.
there's a lot of where people like myself can't focus on nothing. I can't. I'm like, if I'm done, I'm done. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
good. I can chill,
Yeah.
relax. But that's not, that doesn't necessarily lead to the success that I want. So,
yeah.
Right.
That, that's
Can
why I
be an
always
advantage.
feel there's
Yeah.
always this a constant push in
Mhm.
my head. Like right now, I feel like I should be just filming like constantly, but I have
Yeah,
to turn it off and be like, okay,
gotta
I'm
focus.
here now.
Yeah.
This is what's happening, but it's hard to flick off the creative switch, and it can get a
Yes.
bit frustrating. So I'll try to just get a camera and go in the backyard and film something because
Oh
Oh
it's
wow.
getting overwhelming.
Oh wow.
So
wow.
yeah,
So what
all
made
those
you decide to
That's
go
ADHD
with the
great.
things
name
popping.
Kubli
Yeah,
Brothers? So what made you decide to go with
that
the name Kubli Brothers?
that was basically my missus again. She
Nice.
thought like because
She's
I told
smart.
her like what do we yeah she's yeah, Elise Clark, our creative assistant. Yeah, that we collaborated with the story and everything. Because obviously it's a non-linear story as well. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it,
Mhm.
so but yeah, she must have been thinking like Coen Brothers.
Yep.
So then she must have
Ah.
just like because we got a middle name Lara, but our last name's Kubli, and Kubli Brothers just has a nice
It
catch
does have a
to it,
nice ring.
It does.
and
It
it
does
It
have a
hasn't
does.
been
nice
I
cadence.
mean,
taken. So
it sounds like you've been around forever. Like, I know the Kubli
Forever.
brothers. Yeah, they
Yeah.
they did several films.
yeah,
Yes.
it's a
Yeah,
It does.
yeah.
good.
You do some research. I don't think there's a lot of Kublis out there. Um, the actual
Yeah.
name. I think it comes
It's
from
a
somewhere
yeah.
uh, in Switzerland, and yeah,
Interesting.
So it's uncommon.
Yeah, we actually had a
yeah,
person that called us and said that, hey, we share the same last name, and Mama Kubli. I'm just like, oh, okay.
That's awesome.
We're not related.
Yeah, it was pretty
That's awesome.
cool.
Rob, did you have one
Yeah.
final question?
I this is a more conceptual question because I'm always curious. I think of filmmakers like Luc Besson, for example, who, as a teenager, wrote the initial transcript for The Fifth Element. And that was his passion project, his vision. And I'm wondering if you have a similar passion project that you have been sitting on since you were a kid, since the first inception of
Oh,
filmmaking came to mind.
Whoa.
inspiration.
yeah. That's a great question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Mm.
Yeah, probably like I. Are you saying like a passion that we've wanted from a long time to come together type thing?
Right.
Just,
Or
I guess, like your dream as a filmmaker, something that's been with you since you've been chomping at the bit to be a filmmaker. What have you wanted to produce ultimately? Like, what is your dream project?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple. There's yeah,
Oh yeah.
I,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
but BioShock would be awesome if you guys are gamers,
Mm-hmm.
like Xbox. It would be
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
amazing
Wait, which
to
game?
recreate
Repeat it again.
Bio. Yeah, it's a PC and Xbox, I think.
Well, you said
And
bio.
Yes.
What is it? Bio. I couldn't. I didn't catch it.
BioShock.
Bioshock.
Oh,
Yeah, I know
Bioshock.
Bioshock. That
Oh,
would be
Yeah.
a
yeah,
great.
It's
Oh,
it's that
yeah,
underwater
City.
utopian world. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, that would be great. No, that'd be a great
Oh,
story
that
to
would
tell.
be so
Mm-hmm.
That would
cool.
be.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That
to
would be
turn
a
that
really
Mm-hmm.
cool
into
story.
like a TV show because it's
Mm.
yeah, there's a lot of depths and layers to that story. A TV show,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
or even just
That
Absolutely.
would be.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
You
Richie,
think
would have to
there's
definitely.
another
utilize.
one. I think it's Dead Space. Now that's a game I really love, and I
Nice.
think what we just saw Aliens a couple of nights ago, and I just love James Cameron and all the the first Alien with Ridley Scott and I absolutely adore those films.
I mean, that's not
Yeah.
the
And
first time you've seen it, though, right?
no,
no,
Oh,
I've
okay. I
seen
was
it
gonna
so many
say. I was
times.
like, all right.
This was just a reflection. Because obviously as we get a bit older, I'll see it in the state of mind now, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll see things that I didn't see maybe last year or whatever. But I
Yeah,
think
it's true.
what you were saying, something that was inspirational. I mean, like I think yeah, Dead Space. I'll love to make a Dead Space in a space film. Will be just grand and do it just like
Epic.
um yeah, epic, and like how Aliens did it. Have people actually dressed in suits, do it authentic,
Oh, nice.
no
Mm.
CGI. Just do it as practical as you can, because I love practical
Nice.
effects, and I'm with Christopher Nolan on that. With how we did the Oppenheimer, which I haven't seen yet, but
Yeah, I
apparently
want to
he
see
used
that
no
Oppenheimer.
effect.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wow.
apparently he didn't use no effect at all. So I really, I love that. Even the Dark Knight Rises, a lot of the stuff was very practical,
Oh yeah.
and it's yeah. That's another thing with the
I
next
like that.
project that we're going to be doing. I want to try to not try to be as practical as I can, because this one that we did, the Blood Hunt, um we had to find a special effects person, which took a little while, and
Yeah.
thankfully we had the algorithm of a spider. So I'm just like, you're kidding me. And I think it was the universe or something that was answering my prayers. But he actually
Yes.
worked with Pixar and everything. So he had a lot of the tools and everything to his disposal. So it
Wow.
came in really useful. And I'm really thankful that he had that. And this is just a guy, one person that did all that. And I look at it now, I'm just really happy. So I
Wow.
was going back and forth, and just he was sending me this about nah, yeah, maybe a bit more darker, maybe make the creature move a little bit slower, just and then
Yeah.
sometimes he'll send me the first batch, but then he's like, oh, I don't know, this just doesn't work, and I look at it, I'm like, mate, this is perfect, like you did it, and he's like, are you kidding, really? I'm like, yeah, like that's so, that's
Wow.
why I don't want to
Nice.
put too much control in the creative process when I give it to someone else. I want to let them have a bit of free time and put their own um energy in it, and their
Yeah.
spark of what they think it is, because
Yep.
maybe they've
Yeah.
got something to
Mm.
give to the project. So
Yep.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so
Well, guys, unfortunately, we are out of time. So I
oh
appreciate you joining us and
Mm.
sharing us your
Thank
story,
you.
telling us about your movie. Please let people know where they can find you, where they can find your movie, and any final thoughts or words that you have.
Aw.
yeah, no worries. Well, I
girls.
think
Oh,
you type Kubli Brothers on Facebook or YouTube. We will get an email, that type of thing later on.
Mhm.
And the movie Bloodhunt is on YouTube now.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
yeah, for film enthusiasts, just keep going watching great films and TV. And for filmmakers, just start. Don't wait. Just use what you have and go from there.
Any
Yeah.
final thoughts
Yes.
from you, Richard?
Great
Love that.
advice.
Oh, it looks like Richard's dropped off. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you both.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Great to be here.
Thank you,
And good
Michael.
luck on your next movie. All right. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Very cool.
All right.
Wow. I love
so the
technology.
future
Like-
filmmakers.
I love technology. Just having a seamless conversation with someone on the other side of the globe.